Hey, welcome back to Let's Wing This. Today we're going to be looking at my workbench. I'm going to give you a little bit of a tour, show you what it's made out of, and then I'm going to show you some of the problems that I have with it right now that I'm looking to kind of correct today. So not a lot of heavy lifting, but maybe a little bit of an upgrade and give you maybe some ideas for what kind of a workbench could work in your garage. I'm not going to label this Ultimate Workbench because it's adequate workbench, which, to be honest with you, I think is probably what fits most garages better than all of the Ultimate Workbench YouTube videos that you see. So with that, let's wing this. So this is my workbench. I guess the first thing I want to point out to you is that I have this nice concrete ledge here in my garage that runs most of the way across the width of my garage and then goes back. And there's the back door over there, and then you've got the hot water heater over here in the corner. So I've got this elevated concrete ledge that's about 4 inches up. It really ruined the possibility of making a mobile workbench for me. So I was trying to figure out what I wanted to put in here when I moved into this house, and I came across these cabinets from the local university in their surplus store. They actually came out of a chemistry lab, and they had a really good price on them. So I picked up 4 of these cabinets at 35 bucks a pop, and basically built this workbench with 2 cabinets on each side back to back. So I got plenty of storage, 8 drawers, 4 large cabinets with adjustable shelves inside, and a gap in the middle where I could put my miter saw, which we'll come back to that. So I went with MDF for the top on the workbench because it's cheap and fairly durable, with the exception of when it comes to moisture, which is what leads to the problem that I have here today. I made the mistake of leaving some super wet pressure-treated lumber on it overnight, which didn't even occur to me that the moisture would come right out of it and into the MDF. But it did, so now I have to fix the workbench. I initially only secured it with, I don't know, maybe like 6 or 8 brad nails on each of the 2 big pieces on each end. So you can see I kind of clamped this one down already. So I'm going to try and countersink some screws and put them into this and hold it down into the top of the cabinets today. And we'll see how that goes and see if it holds up, and then maybe look at doing an upgrade here in the center of the workbench, but we'll come back to that. So something I don't have is a countersink bit. So I've never needed one before and I've never invested in it. Now I could use it, but I don't have it. So I'm just going to take this slightly larger drill bit than what I need, and it's a little bit bigger than the head of the screws that I have. So I'm just going to tape off a little bit of the end of this drill bit, and honestly, I'm not even sure if the tape is necessary, but I'm going to see if I can just put enough of a divot in the workbench top that I can sink my screw heads just below the work surface. So we'll give it a try. We'll see if that works. Okay, so lesson learned on that. I mean, it's not bad. I mean, it gets the job done. The screw head is below the surface of the workbench, but that hole, the countersink hole, is just entirely too big. So I actually moved down to a smaller drill bit for the rest of the holes that I'm going to do, and we'll go from there. We'll see if we can make it look a little bit better. So here goes time-lapse mode to try and finish off the rest of screwing down the workbench top that has worked. So there is problem number 1 solved. So I got my screw heads countersunk here, and you know, they're somewhat evenly spaced. I didn't really put a lot of effort into that. I just kind of eyeballed it. But they're all underneath the surface, so I can slide stuff across here without worrying about catching. Now I just have to figure out what I'm going to do with this whole center section. If you've seen any of my previous videos, you know that my miter saw is down here, but when I flip it over, it's up here, and then I can actually use it, then it's actually level with the workbench. Let me flip the miter saw over and kind of show you what that looks like. What I would really like to do, though, and this is kind of an ambitious project, but I'm going to start taking some measurements now and see if I can figure this out. This job site table saw that I have, it's a nice little Ryobi. The blade in it is really good. It'll cut through pretty much anything and not leave too many marks. So I would like to see if I can make this table saw fit here where the miter saw is, and have another tool that I can slot in, and again have the top of the table saw surface level with the workbench top. So I'm going to take some measurements. I'm going to see if I can figure that out and make it work. So I went inside, I had some lunch, and I did some thinking, I did some math in my head and on a piece of paper, and I think I have a solution here. So I have these extra pieces from a toddler bed that have been laying around. So I am going to take these, cut them to width to put on a runner underneath here. I'll attach these, one on each side, the bottom of the table saw, and I'll slide it in there at the height that works so that it's maybe like a 1/16 of an inch higher than the work surface. So I think I'm actually going to use these. I'll drill them out, and I've got some 3/8 inch bolts that I'll probably put through. So something I was already aware of from taking my initial measurements was that the width of this table saw is almost exactly what I need it to be to go from work surface to work surface. This is tall enough here that it won't sit on top of the MDF. So I'm going to have to notch out this piece of MDF on this side so that I can fit this front bump here, the one in the back, and I probably need to make a place also for this. All right, so I just did a little test fit off camera. Unfortunately, it's really tight and won't be a lot of fun while I'm trying to hold this and put it in place at the same time. But they were a pain to put on here, and I don't want to take them off, so I'm going to solve this a different way. Remember, when you're doing this, make sure this is where this is and not in an outlet. What I need to do is measure and cut some new supports like these here that I can put down here and have exactly, I guess, 12 and 7/16. Shoot for my 16th inch over. You can see the surface is almost dead even, so I'm glad that I shot for that 16th of an inch, because that's the way it usually goes for me, and I'm not really sure why. I'll shoot to be off by a 16th of an inch, maybe on the shallow side just in case, and then it comes out dead even. So I don't know how that works. So there you have it. I got my table saw built into my workbench finally. It's been something I've been thinking about for literally years now, and I've just never done it because I knew that there were obstacles I'd have to overcome and hoops I'd have to jump through to get there, like, you know, cutting out little divots here, which honestly not a big deal, but it's enough that it's a mental barrier that I didn't want to get over. But I got over it because I wanted to put it on video and show my adequate workbench to the world. So anyway, if you like the video and you want to see more like it or see me make creative things, I've got a really cool decorative idea that I might do in my next video. So subscribe and like the video if you want to see more. Leave me comments if there's something you want to see me do, and I am excited to build more stuff for you in the future. Oh yeah, and I still need a haircut real bad, so that's why I wore a hat today, because it's terrible. Bye.